The term inner city often refers to negatives at the initiative for a competitive inner city. The term can mean assets and opportunities for growth with a potential for new connections with markets and investors. To tell us about the initiative and support for business ventures from Inner City Capital Connections are the program's director, Diego Portillo Mazal, and from one of the ventures, the managing and creative director of Proverb, Daren Bascome. Thank you both for being with us.
Thank you.
I'll start with Diego, because we use the term inner city like it's supposed to be a silo. Everything inside it is supposed to stay inside it, but you don't see it that way.
No, I think from the very founding, it was absolutely 25 years ago when Dr. Michael Porter first started to study it. Inner cities were absolutely places of hopelessness. It was write it off. And if you think perhaps of Detroit, many people thought inside 8 Mile, you just don't go there, and you whatever is in there stays in there, and you leave it there. But Dr. Porter proved that there are not only competitive advantages to the locations, but also to the populations that are there, and that there were and still are vibrant business communities in those places. Now, in many cases, those communities have been starved for funds. They're capital. There are food deserts. There are all kinds of negative things that have happened historically to those places, and they need support and the creation or fostering of strong business ecosystems that will create wealth and provide opportunities for the people living there.
Daren, what about your connection or orientation to inner city? I mean, you came here as a student from another part of the world. So, how do you connect in that way?
Yeah, I mean, so for me, even though I sort of grew up outside of Boston, I've always been drawn to cities. I think that cities are one of the places that people most often go to, if they're looking to be entrepreneurial with their lives, if they're looking to develop new skills, new experiences, things along those lines. For a company like Proverb, which was kind of growing brick by brick, it's been it's been a real process of starting out in my basement with $8,000 and a used computer, to then committing to space or committing to employees, and as a business owner, and given that we were self-funded, you're looking at where are the best places for you to be able to achieve your goals, attract and retain talent, and to be able to do that at a price point that makes sense.
You work in branding, in marketing. What was your starting point? I mean, was it the customers that you were able to reach or engage?
It was a combination of things. So at that point, I was living in the South End. Our office is on Albany Street, which historically was sort of seen as the edge, and still is a location that is not without its challenges. There's a lot that's going on Albany Street. It's sort of the best of times, and for some still sort of the worst of times. But as you're thinking about being able to have access to getting downtown quickly, being able to have the right kind of space in order for our team to collaborate, even having access to things like the airport, have been real advantages for us.
Diego, what about the ingredients of a business that can be innovative and successful? I mean, one of the businesses you've been working with recently is a bookstore in Dudley Square. Mm-hmm. These days, it's hard for anybody to succeed with a bookstore anywhere. So what's going for this bookstore?
One, they've been very clear about what it is, and I think part of the conversation was about what is strategy. And I think it all goes back to that and defining what happens for a lot of these businesses is that they become jack of all trades. But to be able to turn around and say, no, we are a bookstore in Dudley Square, therefore we are a mainstay in the community. We focus primarily on African American books, and we focus on serving school systems. We focus on trying to build things that we do well, and being able to say, we're not going to do this. We're not going to open a cafe. We're not going to be doing poetry night, because that's not what we do and that's not what we do well, but rather focus on selling the bookstore and selling the books and selling the experience that comes from being able to walk in there and meeting Clarissa and just saying, Clarissa, what should I be reading next? That's the part you're not going to get from Amazon, as for all their power, is that personal approach. So sell that and sell the part that is people go to Frugal Bookstore because it has been a part of the community and has made itself more than just a place to buy a book, but it's actually a destination. And so many of our businesses are able to tell that story. I think if we could rebrand some of it, when we talk about the businesses that we serve, most of them are often described as staples of the community. And that's what we see.
Daren, of course, one of the clients you ended up having was Atrius, the public health network. We don't normally think of that as being in one part of the city. We think of that as just all kinds of people. What got you to there?
To that client?
Yes.
For us, at Proverb, we focus primarily on placemaking and place branding, and our roots. In addition to working with large institutions, we have hospitality clients, we have real estate development clients, and so for Atrius, at that point they were very much focused on patient experience, and so things that we had learned from other categories were very much transferable to our work with them, and so we've been sort of working with that organization over the last 5 years. It's been a great relationship. And
one thing I know from being a patient there is that they do serve a lot of people who are in the so-called inner city community. So it's important that they engage as many as they can, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Right. Jerry, what about some of the other things that are coming? Because if you look at what ICIC has done over the past quarter of a century, put this into perspective. Has this grown a whole lot and changed the game in some way?
Oh, fantastic. Just in the ICCC program, we've served over 3,000 businesses, and they've combined accessed over $2.2 billion of capital. They've grown dramatically. They've created over 20,000 jobs. And we are focused on surveying them about quality jobs and being able to define that these are good jobs that create opportunities in the community. So I think, and that's just the ICCC program. In addition, as you mentioned, ICIC also is the national recruitment partner for the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Businesses. We have a small program called Cultivate Small Business. And from the very beginning, we have had the list of the Inner City 100 that recognizes and focuses on businesses in the inner city that are growing the fastest. And Daren and Proverb have been now featured in the list 5 consecutive years. So I think that particular initiative was about all the times that we hear there are no viable businesses in the inner city. The inner city businesses are small, they're at survival stage, they don't employ people. This proves them wrong. This proves them year after year that there is incredible energy, that there is amazing talent, and that there are vibrant businesses in those communities.
Well, there's more to tell in the report, and you've got this on the website at ICIC?
Yes, ICIC.org.
All right, thank you both very much for being with us. Diego Portillo, Mazal, and Daren Bascome.